Pettis versus Wonderboy Thompson. That's interesting. What is up, guys? This is Godzilla Suplex, and welcome to today's episode of UFC Zilla, where I'll be going over the main event and co-main event of UFC Fight Night 148, Willis versus Blades in the co-main event, and the main event, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Anthony Pettis. But before I do that, please hit that subscribe button, also the notification bell, and don't forget to like the video at the end. It really helps, guys. And now let's get into it. We have a great co-main event and an interesting main event. But first, let's start with the co-main event, Willis versus Blades. The last time we really saw Willis was against Mark Hunt. He kind of dispatched him. You know, I wouldn't say impressive because Mark Hunt was already on the way out, but you know, he kept his composure and kept himself from being knocked out. On Blades, on the other hand, if you've ever seen my videos, I'm very high of Curtis Blades. He has great wrestling, and you know, even though his striking is garbage, he can easily get that up. He can still get the knockout on some people. I mean, he knocked out Overeem, so this guy is definitely not nobody to look past, and he's very young. And he is, man, I mean, how the heavyweight division could change. You know, this guy can be around for the next 10 years, and I predict him to be a future champion. But he is coming off a rough loss, and what do these fighters need to do to get the upper hand on each other? And let's start off with the guy who is really desperate to get a win so he can get back in that top 5 and really try to contend for the title, and that is Curtis Blades. And he really needs to avoid Willis's consistent and very accurate jab. Once he can get over that, he needs to start mixing it up with the strikes. He doesn't need to just go toe-to-toe with this dude because he will just keep tagging him and really run away. No, he needs to hit him 2 times, duck, level chains, get this dude scared about a takedown, get him up against the fence, and kind of go Khabib style on this dude. Then take him down, because once you take him down, his stamina's gonna give out. Like, this dude's stamina is not good. Even against Mark Hunt, he looked like he was getting gassed more than Mark Hunt, and Mark Hunt's body was pretty much broken. So getting him to the ground, laying on top of him with that huge weight, I think Curtis Blades will really be able to do work on him. I think once he gets in that position on the ground, Curtis Blades is gonna have any which way he wants with him, especially with that so much superior wrestling. Then ground and pounding him, he won't be able to get back up, and he will very much easily lose. But what is the goal for Justin Willis? Justin Willis really needs to keep this fight standing, needs to duck over and look for a power shot to really make Curtis Blades respect him and stand back and really choose his shots carefully. But he needs to emphasize that threat in the beginning, because Curtis Blades is going to come at him like a bull with his hands probably a little bit down, trying to knock him out, something like that, and really try to hurt him so he can just get him straight to the ground. So Willis really needs to get that consistent jab going, also get really hard punches, start swinging really hard and hit Curtis Blades and hurt him, and make sure the fight's still standing. So once Curtis Blades head gives out, he will be knocked out. So now we got the fire goes out of the way, let's get to some of the scenarios that can happen in this fight. And first, we have to see, is there going to be a knockout in the first round? These are very two careful fighters. They like to sell into their strategy and sort of get a feel for each other, and I really don't think we're going to see that first round knockout. But if it had to be somebody, who would it be? Because we like to go through scenarios, because anything's possible in the UFC. You just have to find out which one is the most possible. And I think Justin Willis just has that slight advantage because he does throw really accurate punches if he doesn't punch himself out and, you know, get tired. Because Curtis Blades is known to be very, very reckless with his striking. So if it had to go down, I think, because, I mean, it's weird because if he does go reckless, Curtis Blades could easily knock this dude out with the right set of hands, but once he hurts him, he's just going to take him straight to the ground. So I don't predict an instant knockout, but I do predict that, you know, if it's standing, Justin Willis will try to hurt this guy. And once Justin Willis gets on top of him, it's going to be very tough to get out. He's going to have to spend a lot of energy, Curtis Blades, and they'll both be on the same level of energy then, which is one of the few things that Curtis Blades has over Justin Willis. But now let me skip to the third round, because I think the second round will be pivotal, but the third round is where these guys are going to really dig deep, and we're going to see who is the best out of these two. And I think with the gas tank, you know, sort of blown, both of these guys at their most tired. What are some of the scenarios? What if Curtis Blades take him down in this round? I think he will stay there, and at this point he is probably gotten taken out once or twice. He's very scared, he's very defensive, and he's throwing his shots carefully, trying to grind out to a decision victory. And I think if he can keep it on the feet, I really do believe he can still win with that consistent jab, earning points, getting the judges really involved and showing everything that they really like. But if you're Curtis Blades, if he gets a takedown, then it's all over. But guys, my prediction for this fight, it will not be even close. Curtis Blades will take him out in the first round, if not the first or second. This fight will end in knockout on the ground. I think Kevin Willis is just going to be coming out there too careful, and once that one takedown happens, there's no way he can get back up to his feet. And I don't really think he has that high level of wrestling to really get out of it. So let's now get to the main event, which is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Anthony Pettis. And just some background on this fight, Anthony Pettis challenged for this fight. He called out Wonderboy, even though he's in a division below. He wanted to come up, saw things were getting really competitive. He said, I'm going to make the jump and fight Wonderboy, which if he wins, he'll probably run, or not run back down, but he'll probably give him some credit in his division to try and push for that title fight, even though it's in a whole different division. So let's get to the fire goals, and let's start off with the smaller man that's coming up, the really more aggressive guy in this matchup. He needs to start attacking the body of Wonderboy Thompson and his legs. I mean, this is so important, him as a jiu-jitsu fighter, to really make it hard and really restrict Wonderboy's movement, because when Wonderboy is fully able, he's a very dangerous fighter. He gave the champion Tyron Woodley so much trouble to the point where it went to a draw. So this guy's gonna have to pick his shots real early, put the pressure on Wonderboy on his movement, and make him defend himself with strikes and keep attacking those ligaments till later in the round. It's going to be tough for him to move, and he can really then use his boxing to incorporate instead of having to worry about kicks. So that is really his main strategy. Now his backup strategy is to kind of try and get inside and try and mix it up, try to pretend to take down, and then come back up with some punches and really try and mix it up on the cage with his jiu-jitsu and get Wonderboy anywhere but in a stand-up ranged contest. So now what does Wonderboy Thompson need to do to win this fight? Wonderboy just needs to stay at range, incorporate kicks, and really use his length against Anthony Pettis, and really make Anthony Pettis start taking risks and start hitting his ligaments. I mean, this is going to be a ligament war with the leg kicks and everything, so he really needs to line up his shot, make Anthony Pettis be aggressive, and when he makes a mistake, counter punch him and send him to the mat. And it's just really as simple as that. It's either one strategy or the other is going to prevail in this match. So now let's get to some of the scenarios that could happen. It's very easy. These guys are very skilled with their unorthodox striking and karate and jiu-jitsu. But in the first round, can we really see a knockout? Are they going to both come out aggressive? And I think really the Anthony Pettis is. But Wonderboy's going to come out slow and try to counter punch him and really slow down his game and try to save up the energy for the later rounds and try and really take advantage of Anthony Pettis' lack of being a welterweight. So the first round, how likely is it they're going to knock each other out? Okay, the likeliness is very high, very low for Pettis, very high for Wonderboy. Wonderboy could just get a counter shot in, but Pettis could just come straight at him, because Wonderboy isn't that big of a welterweight. He more fits in the 165, I want to say 165 division. So it's going to be very weird for them to be matching up, because they're almost going to be in the same category. But I think Wonderboy will definitely be the one that's kind of lying in wait and going to pick his shots next round. So I mean, it's going to be highly unlikely to see it in the first round now that I think about it. But what about that second round? And that's where things are going to start getting interesting, because once these guys start mixing it up, they know what they have to do. They're making the judgments in their corner. I think Wonderboy is going to really show up then, because maybe his non-aggressiveness has cost him a round or made a close round. I think Wonderboy will really start upping his aggression, like he's been talking about in some interviews. He wants to really become more aggressive, and I think having a knockout victory, even over a guy that's from a smaller weight division, will really put him back on the map to try and get another title shot if Kamaru Usman wins, or even if what's his name, Kevin Gastelum loses to Robert Whittaker, he could go fight Whittaker in a rematch. I mean, I think he's earned it. And beating Anthony Pettis will not only give him a boost in the welterweight division, it'll also give him a boost towards fighting Robert Whittaker. So I think in the second round, Pettis will be a little bit tired and Wonderboy will be a little bit wanting to be more aggressive. So I think that's where it's going to go. But if it does go past that round, I think the third round is a little bit not as interesting, because I think Wonderboy will come out aggressive trying to win that round after being stagnant in the second round, and that third round will just be him staying calm and staying paced and try, you know, grind out and see what Anthony Pettis does to try and get the fight in his favor. Now the championship rounds are going to be the rounds that really define this fight. We know Wonderboy's been there, they both been there, and they both done it in those 5-round fights, and they are very capable of going all 5 rounds. So what really happens from there? And I really do think that Wonderboy just dominates. I mean, the little things are just going to get to Pettis, you know, the striking, not being able to get fully in. I think that in those rounds, I think he's not going to be able to focus as much as he did in those previous rounds where Wonderboy didn't have a tap on them. But now that Wonderboy kind of has a lock on what he's doing, he will not be able to get what he does right. And if the fight stays standing in those last rounds, if Pettis doesn't get those legs wobbly, I think it'll be just a straight knockout or a very blowout decision. So, you know, if Anthony Pettis is going to survive any of this, he's got to get those legs, and he's got to make it a really tight boxing match where Wonderboy has no kicks involved, or his kicking has very slowed or decreased to an amount where it's basically a boxing match and Pettis can start using his strength and his kicks to counter Wonderboy. But what is my prediction for this very unorthodox and very weird fight? I think Wonderboy takes it in the third round by knockout. I think Pettis is coming up dealing with a striker that is really beyond what he can do to try and take out his game plan on. I think this fighter is ready for him. He's very aggressive. Wonderboy's been itching for a fight because, you know, nobody will fight him in the top 5 because he's a very, very tough fight to get over. And, you know, I believe that Darren Till lost him and the UFC just put him over just to fight Tyron Woodley. So it's kind of like, man, this dude's going to give whoever he fights so much problems, and then having somebody come up against him that kind of does the same thing, it's going to be very interesting to see, even though I personally think that Wonderboy is going to win. But guys, put your thoughts in the comments section. Who do you think is going to win this fight? What round is it going to stop in, or does it go to decision? And how will it be stopped? Knockout, submission? Even though they don't say they're not going to go to the ground. But how's the fight going to stop? Leave that in the comment section. This has been the best Gojira in UFC news. I do this every week. Hit the subscribe button if you liked what you saw here. Also hit the like button. Also hit the notification bell so you get a notification every time I make a UFC Zilla episode. And you guys have a nice day.